red. Leaving with the ponies. You heard what I said.
Hello. It's been a long time since I uploaded a video. I just came from the dentist. Got some teeth pulled. I had some problems. Still, if I talk, I sound kind of funny, that's why. But it's been a long time since I uploaded a video, huh? A very long time. But good thing, this is one of the 3 videos I'm doing. I got a video on us, a video on horror movies in general, and the other one was, I actually forgot. What was it? Movies that are horror movies that people don't consider horror movies, aka movies like The Truman Show, Wayne's World. Those movies are horror movies if you think about it. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I don't know if I want to talk about us right now or the restrictions people place on horror movies. Actually, I want to talk about the restrictions people. It's so weird saying that they come from the dentist. My shit's just fucked up. But yeah, let's talk about the restrictions people put on horror movies. So I saw Us this weekend. I know I said I'm not gonna talk about Us. I'm not. I'm just gonna mention it. And it wasn't that great, not to me at least. On a very basic filmmaking standpoint, the movie is fine, but it does nothing too good or nothing too bad. There's a lot of things I don't dislike. With that said, I'm not a fan of the movie, but I can see why people will like it. But on a very basic filmmaking level, it's a fine film. If you throw a lot out the window, and yeah. But why am I talking about Us? I'm not supposed to be talking about Us. That's about the restrictions that people place on horror films. So, after seeing Us, despite just saying I'm not going to talk about the movie, but this was after seeing Us, we were talking about the movie and blah, blah, blah stuff, whatnot. And my friend said something that kind of triggered me. Actually, to say I was triggered is an understatement, but I was heavily triggered. I was angry. They said, I made a complaint about the colors, the use of colors, or the lack of the use of colors, and how the cinematography just wasn't that great to me, and blah, 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 that kind of pretentious mumbo jumbo. And their reply was, well, it's a horror movie. It's supposed to look dark and grungy, whatever, something like that. And I was like, that's not true, because horror is a wide medium that look does not defy horror at all. And I was like, that's kind of hypocritical to say. How could you say that when the movie itself never portrays itself in that way? When a lot of the movie takes place in well-lit areas, and a lot of it is in the daytime. I'm tired of talking about Us, but I'm just saying it's just one scene in particular where I don't care if you didn't use lighting or great cinematography throughout the whole movie, but it would have been great here where the mother confronts her quote-unquote Southern. I won't spoil the movie. And the lighting there was just so lazily done. You could have just part of the room. All you had to do was keep part of the room dark on top of the tether, because it would have been beautiful. Turn up the exposure on her red suit. And some of the exposure on the mother's white pajamas, and that would have been beautiful. That's would have told you all the contrast you need to know in that moment. Because the darkness, she was already she wasn't directly in the darkness, but she was near it. So have her face, or partially her face, or some part of her in the darkness, and have the exposure up, not even a lot. It can just be a little bit up on her red jumpsuit, and also have something signifying her scissors. Because I mean, the meaning of the scissors are very obvious, but this was an Us video. And have the exposure up on the mom, you can see the 2 pathways of how these people connected. I can't remember the name of this movie, but an example would be what is the name of that movie? Forget I said that. But I'm just saying, I think you guys can get. I'm out of it. This came from the dentist, but I think you all can get a grasp of what I'm trying to say. You could have told us something that you could have told us something without saying it verbally in that moment. It's like, oh, I know that's kind of common, lame, cheesy, whatever. But in that moment, it was like, oh, you can see 2 parallels. The mom is in white, and she's brighter. And then the tethered that's down there in the darkness with her red jumpsuit on and the scissors holding the Hands Across America thingy. But don't talk about that. Let's talk about how people restrict. I'm sorry, I'm out of it still. Restrict horror films when they should not. People tend to forget that horror is a wide media. A wide genre that goes against all media and can do things that people think it doesn't do. People think of horror and just think of this like senseless killing, violence, and this kind of stuff, and that's not horror. Horror has some of the greatest stories ever told, and a lot of horror has a meaning. People are talking about Us like this was the only horror movie to have meaning. They did the same thing with Get Out. I was like, that's not true. These are not the only horror movies that have meaning. Go back and let's look at Halloween. What do you think Halloween means? It's just a random guy, the Shape, or Michael Myers, as some people call him, going around killing people? No. It's about Laurie Strode, her fear of change, and what's coming next and after. Think about it. She's learning not only more stuff about people around her, but herself, and not that, she's also getting ready for her post-secondary options. After school, he comes in and just flips the world upside down. So in a sense, he can represent change in that moment. I could be wrong, but I mean, film, like all art, is interpretive or whatever the word is. But you get what I'm saying. The Babadook. What do you think that's about? Grief, loneliness. It's about how you handle grief and your loneliness and that kind of stuff. So it's like, House, the Japanese horror film. That is about growing up, adulthood, especially as a young girl in that kind of area and lifestyle that they live. It's about growing up and growing into a quote unquote woman and having your urges and how you handle and deal with yourself as a person, woman, whatever how you have you. It's about growing up into what you want to be or what other people want you to be. I think you get what I'm saying. So that's not the only. Those are old horror movies too. So those are not the only movies about that at all. Especially the Babadook. It's about how you bear your grief and your loneliness and all this and that, and it comes back and bites you in the butt later. And not only does it affect you, it affects people. It affects the people around you. It affects your kids, your friends, your family. So you get what I'm saying. Same for the Shining. Kind of reflects loneliness and grief too when I think about it in an odd way. But yeah, so these are not the only movies. The Nightmare on Elm Street actually reflects the interference of humankind or people that in ignorance as well, and how you could do something out of ignorance or out of spite or this and that, and it just comes down and bites you in the ass later. But in the remakes of Nightmare on Elm Street, we don't talk about those. It kind of changes it, but I think you get what I'm saying. So, but let's talk about the color. They said that the film is they didn't use the lighting was poor and the cinematography and all of that was poor. I'm sorry, I sound like a pretentious film guy. But that's not true. It's just poor. It's not because it's a horror movie. I can name, literally in that moment, I can name like 50 films, horror films that aren't like that. But for the sake of this video, I just mentioned The Shining. So there, The Shining. One of my, that's a great movie. Look at the way it utilizes its colors and set design. And what's in the scene is mise en scène. Look at it. It's beautiful, right? And then go look at Us. It's just not that great to me. Vamp, 1986, beautiful, one of the most beautiful horror movies I've ever seen. Suspiria, I'm not a huge fan of it. Beautiful. Mandy, Nicolas Cage is one of his best movies in a really long time. Beautiful to look at. Go and watch Mandy. It's a beautiful movie. Like, you're not going to place these restrictions on the horror genre, and it's more horror than what you think.
A city on the edge of insanity. A biker gang out for blood. A punk kid with a chip on his shoulder. Scientists, soldiers, and politicians fighting for control of a force beyond human comprehension, known only as Akira. Everyone ready? The apocalypse is about to begin. The Sci-Fi Channel presents the American television premiere of Akira.
Don't say that when you don't watch enough movies, because something like that. And now I'm not trying to bash my friends. I love them to death. They're my so they're some of the closest people I know. I'm just saying in general though. It's like people. It's not just them, because I notice that's a common thing. I had conversations with people like that before, and I always get triggered every time. It's just that this time I was like, you know what? I want to make videos again. I want to also take that as a top for a video, because I see people say that on Twitter, that's social media in general, and I've heard people talk about it, or I texted or talked to people about it too, like my other friends. It's like, bro, y'all are tripping. It's like, look at Mandy. That is a gorgeous movie. It knew how to utilize its colors, its lighting, cinematography, this mise en scène, this and that. And the third, same for Nightmare on Elm Street, beautiful and creative series. As far as it goes, Dream Child is the best one, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Wicked City, that's an animated film. But look at it, it's gorgeous. That's one of the most beautiful movies horror, quote unquote, horror action movies I've watched. It was great. It knew how to use this color. I mean, sure, it's animation, but that's not an excuse, because a live action can do the same thing. Because look at Suspiria. Look at Crimson Peak. Now that he's friends with Crimson Peak, I waited years to see that movie. Finally saw it this year. I kept forgetting and putting it off. Well, it's not worth the wait. But I'm just saying, don't place these restrictions on horror, because it's more to horror than what you think it is. These storytelling elements, these things of dread and comedy, they go hand in hand. It's just beautifully mixed together. I think horror is one of the best genres out there because of that. Not only does it mix great storytelling elements, you can see fear, dread, happiness, loneliness, sadness, grief. It's a whole array of emotions and storytelling elements that go into making horror, even something that you think is just brain dead or just senseless. Like, it's just something that's just beautiful to me. Hellraiser, Overlord, Return of the Living Dead 3. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'm not really a huge sequel or remake fan, but Return of the Living Dead 3 is a beautiful film that I think everyone should watch no matter what. And the special effects, the practical effects, the body modification, the makeup, and in that movie is just amazing. And I wish more people has seen and watched that movie. Same for Wicked City, even though I've noticed that movie has become more popular lately. Same for Vamp. It's another movie I watched. I think it's called The Monster Show or The Monster Club. That is that is a really good The Monster Club. That is a great horror movie that more people should watch. It's from 1980. It's a great movie, and it's listed as what? Horror. It's a horror comedy. It's like, so I'm not saying don't place these restrictions on what horror can and cannot be, because it could be anything you want it to be. It can be anything the creator, the people involved want it to be. So I just don't want people to place these restrictions on horror films when they're more than what you think they can be. Horror, most of the time, horror does have a deeper meaning when you, even if you really, think about it or not. Like, it can represent, I already said, loneliness, grief, happiness, sadness. It's just so much that I don't know how to make it, because I don't like making long videos. So I'm trying to keep it short. But I'm just saying, I think I said this already. I've repeated myself multiple times, but please, just don't place these restrictions on horror. Just don't, because it could be anything you want it to be. Like, for instance, take the Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975. That's musical comedy, right? But can that be classified as horror? I mean, it has horror in its title and it has horror elements. Like I'm saying, looking through the right lens and scope. I'm kind of touching on my other video right now, but it can be placed as a horror, right? So I'm saying Tim Curry is amazing in that movie, like he always is. But I'm just saying, never place restrictions on this genre. I love horror. I'm pretty sure it might be my favorite genre out there, because most of the time horror has a deeper meaning. I want you to go out and watch your favorite horror movie and say, what does this mean? Take out just the mindlessness of when it's watching characters do irrational things or whatever, and watch them get killed, go down one by one or multiple times at a time, whatever. And just think about, what does this movie mean, or what could it possibly mean, or what does it mean to me, whatever. Because like I said, the movies, I watch a lot of movies, a lot of horror movies. I don't know how many. I have 532 currently rated titles on my IMDb, and I'm constantly adding more. And I always think and evaluate these movies before I continue. So, also, let's talk about Teeth. Teeth is a horror movie. That's pretty. It looks like it sounds like not generic, an indie movie. Kind of has like it kind of has like a Napoleon Dynamite feel to it. So it's like, come on, what do you? Just don't place restrictions on horror. It's like, think about like this. Let's think about what does Teeth mean. Think about it, like, you get what I'm saying. Think about what these movies mean and what they could mean, instead of this thing that was a mindless, cheap thrill. Because that's why horror is so commonly made, because it's cheap and effective and it's fast. It's the easy way to turn a profit in the film industry or in the film media genre or whatever, film media or whatever. So, with all that said, don't place restrictions on horror. Don't say, oh, well, this movie's supposed to look like that because it's a horror movie. That's not true. There's no defined look to a horror movie. Like I said, we got The Shining, Vamp, Suspiria, Mandy, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Wicked City, Hellraiser, Overlord, Return of the Living Dead 3, and Eraserhead. Even though that's in black and white, it still uses lighting and cinematography better and very creatively, a lot better than us did in Crimson Peak. So it's like, what do we say? And if you want to count Edward Scissorhands, because I think Edward Scissorhands is a horror movie, and I think that movie has a lot in common with us, and actually want to make a video comparing Edward Scissorhands and us. So I'm just saying, with all that in mind, think about it. It's just, don't place what you think horror should be on horror, because it's more than what you think it is, and that goes for all genres. Same for Annihilation. I'm not a fan of Annihilation. Beautiful movie to look at. It's the movies or a visual medium. Give me something pretty to look at. Give me something creative. That's my main problem. Oh, why am I talking about us again? It did nothing too creative. I feel like it had no artistic strides, I guess, besides relying on this kind of crazy script. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Don't put limits on horror, because horror is a beautiful genre made up consisting of many things and elements, and often does have a deeper meaning. Except for Attack of the Killer Donuts, I don't know what the fuck that is about. I love that movie though. I'm out this bitch.
Don't worry, this won't hurt a bit.
Your serum has contaminated the donuts and they've come to life.
Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
The donuts are alive and mutated into
Killer donuts.
Why you such a god? Make it fucking like I can. Why you such a god?
Hey.
Hey.
Please, no, you're not in yet. You come in later.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying the touch of your hand right now, but why are you so shaky?
I'm very nervous.